Hey, we're in the house. In the house. Yeah. Back again.
Right? Another Wednesday. So glad to see you, my friend.
Yes, happy to be here. How are you doing?
I am well. I am so much better than I was last week. I am
Good.
grateful. So
Good.
it was a hard week. So I am glad to be here and glad to talk to you and our guest. And yeah,
Yes.
looking forward to a
Yeah.
good show. What about you?
Yeah, our topic always is something that I've been on for at least the past year. With quarantine, I was immediately affected. My wellness is definitely something that I had to look at, as we all did. So it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to.
Right. Well, let's do our intro and kick this show
Okay.
off.
Yes. Hi, ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a millennial business owner, the owner and operator of Shalo Glow LLC, a handmade shea butter company. I am an advocate for your business care, self care, and intentional wellness.
Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and published author who helps you upgrade your self and community care.
Oops, sorry. And together we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness. Welcome to today's show. Yes, we are talking about financial wellness.
Woo! I every time we talk about financial wellness, I'm like, oh, I need to talk about this every week,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it's true.
Well, and tomorrow is April 1st.
Yes.
So even though folks keep trying to tell me I have an extension on my taxes, I keep putting my hands over my ears and going, la, 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 don't
Yep,
tell me
yep.
I have an
Don't
extension
tell me
because
that.
I'm getting
Yep.
it done.
It'll be July and we'll be like, oh no, what
Right?
happened? Yeah, nope. It's
Right?
still April 15th for me too.
Right? It's like,
Yeah,
no, it's on the planner. It's getting done, as my
it
friend Shannon
is.
would say.
Yes, yeah, it's got to. And why push it back? If everything can be organized and ready for this coming up year, that's where I prefer to be, anyways.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a little bit of a deeper dive with it this time as I
Mm,
as I do them. Like really look kind of like a spring cleaning of
yeah.
what subscriptions do I have that I'm no longer using or I'm not getting as much of a return on an investment from them. Like
Right.
even like because I feel like I nickel and dime myself, like just
Mm,
all over the place. Like, oh, that's just $10 or oh, that's just $15. And you and I've talked about before when you read the book The Latte Factor and how
yes.
much of a difference that makes. So
Yes.
I think and I am so guilty. I can't wait to see what our guest has to say about this because she's been a financial professional for over 20 years. But,
Yes.
I am so guilty of kind of closing my eyes and not looking, right? And I
Yes.
know better than that, right?
Yes. 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 Yeah, I was listening to this audiobook and it was talking about how it's kind of like kids looking at their report cards and how they don't want to know what it is. And I was an honor student, so I always knew I wasn't worried about it, but the finances, I said, "Oh, that makes sense. Now it makes sense. I don't want to look. I want to change the grade and act like the scores never happened." Yeah.
Well, and I was realizing the other day because I like to play games. Like I
Hmm.
grew up in a family, we played dominoes, we played cards, we played board games. And I am like, I want to get into the mindset where my credit score, my
Hmm.
financial numbers, all of that is like a fun game to play. Like not
Yeah.
a torturous game, but it's like,
Yes.
ooh, look at this number, or ooh, you're doing this, or there's so
Yeah.
many apps out there now to do that that it's like,
Yeah.
okay. I think that there's probably some tools and strategies that would be fun
Hmm.
like that because
Yeah.
we talked about, I think it was the last podcast where we talked about the app Mint and we
Hmm.
talked about really looking at your numbers that way. And I don't know if you saw this, but did you see like they had a contest if you were working in your Mint that you automatically got entered for like $10,000?
Oh
Boy,
wow. See, no,
that
I
was
missed it.
that was motivation to be logging on and checking my
Yeah.
numbers. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? A chance to win $10,000? I'm in.
Just for doing it. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and that's incentivizing people like that is important. And I try to think about ways to do that for myself too. So it's not always work and adulting and having to be so serious about everything, even though it's important. How do you stay focused so that you actually do it and get it done?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about our definition, because I know sometimes
Yes.
what definition are we talking about today, Shannon, when we talk about financial wellness?
Yes, and capturing a definition can be difficult, especially for categories of wellness, right? When they're all encompassing. So the one that we're working with says that it's tricky because it means different things to different people, right? I love that because that's true. At its most basic level, financial wellness is a holistic approach to counter financial illness. This holistic approach includes a combination of factors such as satisfaction with current finances, increasing positive financial behaviors like saving, reducing debt, and budgeting, financial knowledge that helps to change behavior, and reduced financial stress. So, and actually, there's one more: creation of a financial plan to reach desired financial goals. And that's part of what we're going to talk about with our guest, right? And when we first read this definition, the reason that I didn't like it was because I like stuff to be really specific. You know how I am. And satisfaction with current finances, for me, one at one time in my life, I was at one place and I was happy with my finances. I didn't know all the stuff that I didn't know, that I wasn't keeping my receipts, I wasn't keeping track of expenses and income and all this stuff. But then the last point is to set a goal and set a plan. And I feel like with financial wellness, what I see is that a lot of people are there where we were, right? Trying not to look at it, not having a plan. And so they could say, "Oh yeah, I'm happy with it. I don't need to set goals." But I love what our guest said when we talked to her the first time. She said some people want to retire by 50 and they're on track to never retire. I said, "Wow. Yeah,
I
let's
can't
talk
wait
about
to have this
it."
conversation because I feel like my husband and I were really late bloomers with finances
Yeah,
because we were raised in a family that you didn't talk about money. The only
right.
thing we really said was, "Oh, we don't have enough money."
Right.
Well, that whole mindset of we don't have enough money and you don't talk about it, like, how do
Yeah.
you make a goal from that
And,
place, right?
right. And you know what's so interesting? I've been thinking about what is the thing that was said in my house. Like, I know what Christine says was said, and I've realized my dad used to always say it's spent already. Like this money that we're making that you see right now, it's in your hand, but it's spent already. And so that also speaks to the goal and the way I am intentional about my finances now. Before you have it and you're already behind, instead I like to think about what I want to attract, make my plan, how much do I need to make, and make a goal for it, and I guess an action plan for my money before I get it. So when I get this $100,000 this year, this is what I'm doing with it. You
Right?
know. Hmm.
I love that. And I know that our guest has some strategies and tools for folks around this.
Yeah.
And also has a way to assess where we
Hmm.
are. And
Yeah,
so I
it's
can't
really
wait
important.
to talk to her more. Are you ready to bring her on?
Yeah, let's bring her on.
All right, let's do it. I'll read the bio so we make sure we get it right.
Okay.
Okay. Because I like to just, you know me, and that's about me not ad-libbing about somebody I just met, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we go. Terri Stigler is a person that loves life and
Mm.
people and lives her life to the fullest, believing that life is a gift and should not be taken for granted. She loves the Lord with all her heart and would say she is blessed and highly favored. Terri believes in forgiveness and always sees the best in people. Terri is a diehard optimist, dreamer, and entrepreneur. She's our people, Shannon.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
She learned early that when you choose a career you love, you will never work a day in your life. Terri has worked with young adults for a good portion of her career and has always poured into her young sisters and encouraged them to dream big, respect yourself and others, and know your worth. Ooh, I'm going to
Yes.
read that again. To dream big, respect yourself and others, and know your worth. She mentored young women in her Girl Talk group. Sisters in Transformation has allowed Terri to continue her passion for impacting Black and brown women to live up to their potential. She wants young girls and women to know that they are special, important, and loved by other sisters. She wants sisters to step up and each one reach many.
Mm.
Each one reach many. Terri envisions Sisters in Transformation going national and then global, touching the lives of sisters around the world. Assuring sisters know that Black women matter, we must take care of each other, and we must be our sister's keeper. Terri Stigler is a financial professional. She has over 20 years of marketing and business development experience. She studied African American studies with an emphasis on society at the University of Wisconsin. She also has a 22-year-old daughter named Christina Stigler, who's in college. We are so welcome and delighted. Well, we're so delighted. I screwed that up, didn't I? And we're so delighted to welcome Terri to the stage today.
Hey, Terri.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. It's so great to be here. It's a rainy day here. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and but I love the rain. You know, I always tell people, you know, you won't melt. Come on, you can go out in the rain.
We're so grateful for it today in Atlanta because the pollen has been out of control. And literally, Terri, when it rains right now, rivers of yellow pollen run down the streets. And so we as much as we fuss about it not being sunshiny, we really enjoy the fact that it kind of washes away all the stuff that's trying to take us out right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's the temperature, though?
I think we're in the 70s.
Question. Yeah, it was actually pretty comfortable.
It's beautiful.
Okay, good. Yeah. I was just in Atlanta for my birthday. March 6th was my birthday, and I have friends there, so I was there celebrating.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Atlanta's a fun town to come play in. Next time we're here, we'll have to get together.
Okay, definitely.
We'll love that. We'll love that. Okay, so Terri, today we are talking about financial wellness, right? And you've worked in this space for decades. So working with the youth, working with Sisters in Transformation, what do you think about and what do you see that women that are trying to be wise in their wellness, what can we do to start doing that for our financial wellness?
Well, we need to really put finances in the same way we put the holistic approach. So if you're conscious of your health and eating right and things like that, you're conscious of your spirituality, you know, your mental health, all those things, finances fits right in that, because we know that divorces are caused by finances, you know, that have gone wrong, or not enough of arguments and things like that, or you don't have the same thinking about money. And so we need to put it in exactly what it says, wellness. We need to be, you know, because I feel like in my profession, I'm a financial doctor almost sometimes, you know, and, you know, just, of course, it's not the same, but, you know, where you're fixing people's finances or helping them fix it. And so we just really need to look at it like that, embrace it, just like you're like, oh, do I want to go to the gym today? Oh, do I want to do my finances? Do I want to keep up on them today? Do I want to look at it? Do I want to talk about it? Do I have an accountant? Do I, you know, all the things that you need for your finances? Do I have life insurance? Do I have a will? You know, do I have investments and things that are going to make me well and feel good financially?
I love that, Terri. And I love that you say a doctor. That means there's help.
Yes. Yes.
That's true. And I like it especially because, like this definition, right? This definition talks about saving. It talks about reducing debt. It talks about budgeting, right? And a lot of people who might not be financially literate, I wouldn't say I'm all the way financially literate yet, right? I have an LLC, but as far as it's like a language, as far as speaking and reading and writing, I'm probably in elementary school right now, we're doing pretty good. Maybe middle school. I don't know how to judge it. That's why you're here. You're the expert, right? But I know there's different levels to it. But something that you said investing, you said life insurance, right? You said wills. How are we proactive and making sure that our money is working for us? I think that's the next step in the conversation, because a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
people who don't look at their stuff, they've heard of budgets, they've heard of savings, whether they do it or not is another thing, but they've heard of these things. But an idea and a strategy that I recently heard of and have started implementing is making your money work for you, right?
Mm,
So I love
yes.
this app. Christine and I were talking about the apps we talked about last time. I use this app, Get Upside. So when I spend money on gas, I get money back. And I love the fact that I get some of my money back when I spend money. And that's one of the ways that I've been doing it. So,
Mhm.
with you, what is something that you would recommend for somebody to start on the path that they haven't started? They're not looking at their finances. Maybe they're married, right? We're talking about divorces and arguments in between companies. How do they start?
So you really just have to start where you stand. It's not too late, it's not too early, and just to start with a conversation. So if you're not in a relationship, or if you are, I'm hoping that if you're in a relationship, as far as a marriage where you do things together, that you start having conversations about what money means to you and where
Mm-hmm.
you want to go. If you're single, and you just know that you want to progress in any manner of where you are. I will tell you, Shannon, where you say in infancy, most people are in infancy stages with money and their finances, even though, and you'll see people who have high income, but we find the same thing is going on. Low, middle income, high income, because people are actually living above their means. And so you could be have an income of 6, 7 figures, but if your spending is right there, you're no better off than someone making, 30,000 and below, and it's the same thing. Okay. So you have
Right.
to start where you stand, start the conversation, and then start writing down, where you want to be, what you want to do, what do you need. And so when you look at your financial portfolio, like I do a financial needs analysis. You start the conversation from A to Z. And it's not that long, though. It's not as complicated as all the way to Z. But so you want to assess, the budget comes first. What am I spending? Okay, but what's coming in? Let's try to balance that. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You can Google, a budget, a simple budget that includes everything you're spending. People find out that I did, and this is so little, that I was going to Dunkin' Donuts because it was so convenient. And then, oh, and then I'm just getting coffee. Well, no, now I'm getting the wraps. Oh, now I need the breakfast sandwich. No, I'm coming back for the latte. So when I added all that up, it was amazing. It was like a cell phone bill, So I bought a Keurig, and so I'm making 1 cup, just so the budget. The budget is really a starting point, and only you know. So you have to assess that because you know what you're spending, and just sit down. The next thing is to really look at where your family is and everything. But people don't realize life insurance is a key factor in your budget or in your portfolio, because any advisor, a financial professional like myself, or there's financial advisors, um, they will tell you the life insurance, is really the base. It's like the ground. And because most people don't understand that life insurance is borrowing wealth. So you're borrowing wealth. It is income protection. Okay. And so the way life works in your younger years, you might not have a lot of money, but you have a family, you have debt, you have a mortgage, things like that. And so if someone, whether it's single family or 2-parent family, if somebody doesn't come home, the family is devastated because that income is gone now. So that's why it's income protection. So if we really do it right, and the way that I, teach it, and that's another thing. I'm just really kind of a coach too, and just an educator of it. So here's your life insurance, and there's a way to determine what you need. There's a formula. If we're doing the right thing for you, as you invest, and we're helping you invest for the future, you are building your portfolio and your investments. We're suggesting you get rid of life insurance. Why do you need it? You don't need it for your whole life. Now you have a pot of money that you can use while you're living. You're going to have beneficiaries, so your family is getting it. Okay, and so no one has to die to use the money. Okay, so that is the ideal way to do life insurance, and have it as you need it, build up your investment. So in between there, though, let's get out of debt. It is not the American dream. That's been sold to us, to keep other people living their dreams, because you're in debt and people are making money. It is really not the way to go. People are not retiring because they can't get out of debt. The best way to be able to retire is we want you to be out of debt. So then, because typically in retirement, our income goes down, okay? And so we need our debt to come way down so that we can live off a less amount. Because if you're living on Social Security, a pension, and then hopefully if we're doing the right thing, we can get your investments up there so you can live well in retirement. I'll tell you something that's just as devastating as dying too soon. It's outliving your money. You outlive your money. What do? Live with your friends and family, and things like that. So we really want to help people get to where they want to be with their money. And there's a lot of things in between that we can talk about, but I'll let you ask some more questions about it, and then we can go into details.
I love that, Terri. One of the things I think we mentioned before the show was that finances are so intimate. Like, people have a really hard time talking about finances often. I used to, early in my career as a social worker, I did home studies for folks, and people would rather talk to me about their sex lives than they would about their financial budget. And and they really would. It was because finances are one of those things that you may not have been taught to talk about them when you were growing up, or you may have some trauma around them.
Yes.
Or, you are embarrassed by what you make or don't make, or what you think other people are, should, and there's so much judgment around it. Like, it is very interesting to break it all down. So how do we take some of that emotion out of it? How do we start having these conversations from a place of wellness and from a place of calm, not a place of reaction, but being proactive instead of reactive to our finances?
So I think it's always going to be emotional. I really think that it's a little like, how we want things to not be emotional, but I think that it is emotional because it's like finances is like an emotional roller coaster. But if you can stabilize and know how much you need to live off, and then know how much you want to make, to increase your income, how much you need, need for the retirement or that kind of thing. We talked about, when do you want to retire earlier, So again, we said that people say, well, I want to retire at 50. And then when you do their whole financial needs analysis, which I can do for people, complimentary is what I love. And then you find out they're not on track to retire at all, So we really, really need to do that analysis. And once people do the analysis, they can see that it kind of demystifies it. It's not taboo anymore, things like that. And then we can really start to heal, because it's financial wellness. We're healing, and it can now be emotional, but it can be a good emotion. But you made a good point about the past and how it's kind of like our blueprint of how we think about money. I'm reading right now The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and it's not about being a millionaire per se, although if you want to be, it takes you that way. But it's really about how we think about money. And so a lot of times you get it from your parents. I'll give you an example. A lady, she was a young girl, and her mother and father, they were at dinner with the family, okay? And so the all she always heard, is them fighting about money. And so they were having dinner, and her dad was mad. They got talking about money. He actually had a heart attack, at the table. She knew CPR and all that, so she helped her dad. He died in her arms. She, in her whole life, all she associated money with was pain. So anytime she got money, she tried to get rid of it. So that wasn't good, because her husband was like, what's going on? Like, you're always wanna, and we're doing okay, but we always got to get rid of it. That was because it was so painful. We don't even realize. So that, is just one way that you might think about money. You might always have friends or heard people, oh, well, we're going to be broke. We're always going to be broke. So you don't realize that you speak those things into existence. I know some people don't really believe that, but your brain is like a computer. When you tell your brain something, it has to make it happen. Okay? I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. Okay. All right. So it's the same with finances, that core piece of how we think about our finances. And then so to demystify it, when you start showing people that it is not hard to get out of debt, it doesn't mean you're going to get out of debt in 6 weeks, but let's do debt stacking. I don't know if you've heard of Susie Orman, some of these financial gurus who teach debt stacking. So it's going to take a while, but guess what? Let's take it one, debt at a time. Pay it off. Okay, start with the small one. You're paying $100. Let's stack it on to the next one after it's paid off. Now this one, maybe you're paying $200, all the way to the largest one of your mortgage. Now you have all this going on your mortgage. You can get out of debt. Unbelievable, 10, years earlier, by doing some of those debt stacking. And now guess what? You didn't have a lot of money to invest, but now that you're out of debt and you have this excess couple $1,000 because you're out of debt, let's start putting that away in an investment and watch that grow. So that's why I say it doesn't matter if you start at later in life. It doesn't matter. But we need to free up some money somewhere, maybe right in your budget. Let's free it up, and then let's put that away for investment. Not try to go outside of your budget like, oh, I'm going to do 500, I'm going to do 200, where you're struggling. So how are you going to pull extra money that's why we don't save and invest, because we don't have it, but let's find it. And that's another thing we help you do. I help people find that money.
I love that. Sorry, my sound was funky there. I love that, Terri, because I do a system called Interplay, which uses movement and storytelling and voice. And we have a thing where we talk about incremental steps. And our co-founder, Phil Porter, always says, we get into trouble in little steps and we can get out of trouble in little steps. So whether that's debt or weight gain or, whatever the trouble we got into, it didn't happen overnight. It probably took many steps, and it'll probably take many steps to get out, but it's doable. And I heard that as with what you were talking about. I heard that it's doable.
Yes, definitely. The smallest amount of income, you'd be surprised how we waste money. Like I said, the Dunkin' Donuts, it's so many different things, where you shop, the things that you feel like you need. Everything is not essential. I mean, we've learned about essential with this pandemic, but cutting out some things, and then instead of now cutting out something, let's say you have credit cards and you pay them off. Let's not start new credit cards. Let's not run them up again. Let's cut them up. And now that money, let's start our emergency fund. Let's do some investments. We also have to know that banks are not where we do investments. Banks are a holding. If you look, you're getting what? Oh my gosh, in a savings or something, or you're checking a 0% even the other things that they have are very, very low in investment in banks, and most people have their money in banks. So that's the first thing that we teach people, is that that is not a real investment. That's just a savings.
Well, Terri, one of our listeners, Heather Lee, she said credit unions over banks. They're willing to do free financial assessments. So there you go. Thanks, Heather Lee.
So what I will say is that's excellent, especially that the analysis and things that they do, anytime you can get a free analysis, but credit unions do not. They give a little more, but that's not. Gone are the days when you could put your money in a bank and get 6%. Our great grandparents did that, and when they finished work at 60, 65, they had a boatload of money. Okay, that's not happening anymore. We have to learn how to be, really do that for ourselves. Even on our jobs, the pensions, they're going away. If you have a good pension, you're blessed. But the 401ks, they're matching them, but you have to go ahead and put money in them, the 403bs, with your companies. If you have a company that's matching, that is excellent, because that's free money. There's nothing better than free money. But we have to start funding these things, and I will tell you that banks and credit unions, if you look at the percentage that you're getting, it is not enough to have a good retirement.
And what I would say too, Terri, is not even retirement. What I think about is, what is your money going to be worth, right? I know inflation might be a more advanced topic, but when we talk about what the U.S. dollar is worth, if you put your money in the bank and you're only getting a certain amount, the buying power is actually not worth. So let's say you have $10,000 in the bank in the savings account. What you were pointing to is the fact that the interest that the bank is giving you is not as high as it would be somewhere else, right? It's not as high and doesn't work as well for you as it used to. But also, that's not the only thing you should look at. I would also look at inflation. And inflation, I don't know what it is today, but 3% is higher than a lot of these bank accounts are giving you. So if the rate that money is losing its value is faster than you're saving it, you're saving only to be negative, and then for your expenses to exceed your income. So we've got to look at it. Absolutely.
And that's a great point. That's a good point.
One of our listeners, Amanda, has a great point too. I want to pull up here. She says, I feel like a lot of women abdicate finances to the man in their lives. Like, I'm no good at math or other such silliness. With more women getting married later in life and living longer than the men in their lives, we need to get women more financially independent. Oh my
Absolutely,
gosh. That's
Amanda.
so true, Amanda. My great aunt Clara, I will never forget, this story makes me immediately think about my great aunt Clara. She was a minister's wife. Her husband doted on her, did everything for her. It wrote the checks, took care of everything. When he died, not only was she devastated, she didn't know how to do anything. She didn't know how to buy groceries because he took care of everything. Now, that was a different era, but I think there's still some of that. I think, to Amanda's point, like, we think, oh, this isn't, like, we're making money. Let's know what to do with it and make more money.
Absolutely. And like Terri said, at Papado, I was definitely salaried. And compared to what women were making on salaried jobs in the 80s, I was making almost 3 times that. But again, it doesn't matter if you're making a lot, if you're spending a lot, you're not strategic, you don't know where it's going. So
Mhm.
that's why I love Women Connected in Wisdom, specifically because we're here to talk about the intersectionality of being a woman and dealing with life. And that's a lot, right? And we are
Yeah.
intentionally underdeveloped in the financial realm so that we can cook and clean and do all this other stuff. And it's been said to be a man's position, in addition to certain subjects that go along with things to make it easier. But again, my Sprint doesn't care if I'm male or female. You know, Honda does not care. They're
Right.
still calling, and they will call you back if you do not call them back. And so it's not just about men versus women. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, as an adult now, it's all of our responsibility to be completely well. And the times are different. It's no longer the times where a family marries off a daughter and there's a dowry and two calves, you know, and you go off to the land and like, but again, if grandma taught the females in the family, then the females are going to know what grandma knew, and we have to close the gap. So that's why I love conversations like these, because all of the information
Mhm.
is relevant to
Yes,
everybody. Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Well, and I think the other thing, we like to talk on this show, Terry, about the intersectionality of race and gender and all of that. And we still, women do not make the same as men do, and there's some bills up for consideration for equal pay, and that doesn't. I should have pulled up the stats about what the difference in pay is, but there's a difference in pay between white women and what males make, and then even a more significant difference between women of color and what they make compared to their male counterparts. And so getting involved in that for financial wellness, about us speaking out about equal pay and changing the policy on that is
Mhm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yes. Yes. And it's interesting on my journey for financial literacy and financial freedom, right? It made me realize why the conversation is the way it is around relationships. We can say, oh, well, Black women just want to be independent and everybody's a gold digger. But actually, if you look at it from this, it makes sense. If Black women are being paid less, but the Black men are treated a certain type of way, they make less. The way the family is structured, we're talking about wills and life insurance. This is a whole family strategy. So when it's
Hmm.
all affected, and if we're talking about financial wellness, and in the history of the United States, we know how a lot of these stories went, right? When Black families got to a certain point, things were ransacked, burned, obliterated, bombed in the United States, you know. So
Hmm.
it makes sense why it's so emotional to try to set goals, to for it to be daunting and overwhelming for where people are, right? It says women are paid 17.7% less than men. And again, my
Yeah.
Sprint bill is not 17.7% less, you know.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's why, you
Exactly.
know, starting where you are, like you said, I think it's absolutely an advantage to start younger, of course, right? We can have compound interest on our investments.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get everything as quickly as possible, like you said, to have your portfolio be healthy. But with anything, with any of these categories of wellness, it's about where are you at, where would you like to be healthy, and what do you need to get plugged into in order to do that? And especially with finances, I'm a person who takes initiative. I can do a lot of things that some people have fear around, but sometimes I need somebody to sit here with me and say, okay, this is what you do next. Go on Mint
Yeah.
and download this Mint and look at this once a week, or do this every month. And if this
Hmm.
is an area where you need help, that's why we're connected in wisdom. Terry's here. You know, you can plug in, get a free assessment, see where you are, get plugged into life insurance and wills. And if you're part of a credit union, we can start today, you know, because being a woman is not going to change the fact that we want to retire. We want to go on vacation. Girls want to have fun too. And we want to be well when we do that, not worried about the credit card bill that we're not looking at.
right.
Right. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Terry, how do people reach you? Like, how do people? I know you've offered our listeners a free financial assessment to
Hmm.
look at where they are and to start that conversation. And so how do you want people to reach out to you? How do you want them to find you?
Well, I love conversations. I'm telling you, I know that it's the text world and social media hit me on Facebook, but I'm the old-fashioned phone call. How about that? Just call me at 215-218-8001, and then we can have like a quick 3 to 5 minute phone call just to see if there's a mutual interest, if there's anything that I am doing that would help. I have questions that I ask, about everything to see what is the thing that is most pressing. Is it getting out of debt? Is it life insurance? Is it saving? For the future, investments. Whatever it is. We could see if there's a mutual interest. And then also, you can email me. I have no problem emailing you back, and then we can set an appointment. And it's Terri Stigler at Verizon.net. And so I read my emails just constantly, it seems. And so I promise that I do get back to people within 24 hours. Also, you could text me. Texting is great. And then I can get back to you immediately. Even if we can't talk it right then, I do always respond to a text letting you know that I have received it. So those 3 ways are really the best.
I love that. I wanted to pull up. Amanda had another comment that I think was very insightful that I wanted us to chat about before we go.
Okay.
She says, we have to encourage our young women to go into fields that are higher paying. We traditionally choose the softer careers. Something happens in middle school to girls where they take their foot off the pedal in the STEM professions. So we create some of our own pay gaps. Yeah. I know there's more science and research around that, and that we're doing a better job with STEM. I don't know if y'all noticed with the latest Mars launch in NASA, almost every scientist that they had talking to the camera was a woman, and a lot
I
of them
noticed that.
color, and it was powerful. Like for this little nerd girl who loves that stuff, I was like, "What? What's happening here?" It was so cool.
Yeah, it's really important.
I'd love to talk about that a little bit, because I really feel like a lot of times when we're even teachers and things, they don't really know that how biased they might be, because they used to, with Black people, not go into college, but move them into the trades and things like that. When I feel like it should have been both, because trades can be very high paying. And so in college, I feel now is going into all this debt and bringing people out of debt. You don't promise them any jobs. They can't get a job. I think it's really, to me, heartbreaking that college students come out with a degree, all this debt, can't get out of their parents' home because they're at no offense, I go to Walmart all the, but Walmart, Target, the Sam's Clubs, all the places with a degree, or you're doing Uber and all this with a degree. You don't need a degree to do those things, okay? And so we need to be teaching, again, they're going to move them towards, like you said, some of the higher level, but also what about business? I don't think we're teaching our people and pushing them towards business. A lot of people have talents that can be put into a business. They have, just ideas, gifts that really, if they're developed, they could go into a business. I will tell you one thing that I've learned about being, in my own business is that you are the creator of work, okay? Working a job, you are processing work, okay? And so I learned, especially during this pandemic, look at how people lost their jobs, the different industries that went up and down. If you were in food service, you didn't know if you were coming or going, 50%, 25%, no, we're closed, only takeout, drive through. But if you can find an area or a niche to start your own business, even if it's online, to bringing in some income, that can stabilize you. I'm not saying you have to quit your job. You can do both. Most millionaires will tell you they have 8 streams of income, okay? Because if 5 go out, they can still eat, with the other 3. So I think also I love it. Is it Amanda saying that, pushing towards higher paying industries and also business, okay? Pushing people to get involved in their own businesses the highest paid people are really business owners.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Terry. And again, that's exactly where I was. I was in the restaurant industry for 5 years, right? I graduated with my psychology degree, minored in Africa and African diaspora studies. Thankfully, I was at a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, got promoted, and that's where I was salaried. So that employment gap and the degree gap I didn't have to worry about. Now I needed to be focused
Mm-hmm.
on my financial literacy, my financial strategy. I should have known how my 401k was invested, right? That's something I'm looking at things I could have done better. But watching the pandemic and the conversations that we've been having, it's been really interesting that it's either you're employed or you're unemployed. I said, well, what about the people who are starting businesses? Why are we telling everybody to go get a job and not to start businesses? Now, again, I
Mm-hmm.
have a company. I need employees. The people who own companies need employees. So not everybody
Right.
wants to be a business owner and not
No.
everybody can be a business owner, and that's fine. But I think that if the opportunity would have been more, excuse me, more available when I was younger, I would have been interested in learning more. And it's exactly actually what stabilized me during the quarantine is, okay, what are my expenses? How much do I need to make? And it's not exactly my expenses. You should make more than your expenses, right? Because you don't want all of your
Mm-hmm.
income to be wiped out. That's what we've been talking about. So how much do I need to make? And then, okay, what do I need to go? What do I need to do that? I was dropping off shea butter yesterday because I have the shea butter company. And this young lady was a chef and a model. And I said, way to use the female traits.
Mm-hmm.
You're beautiful, get paid for it. You can cook, get paid for it. And those are 2
Absolutely.
easy ways, right? Low overhead companies that you could start and generate your own money and have teams of people working for you if that's what you prefer.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
And the one thing too that I will say, Amanda, is that reading Secrets of the Six Figure Women, I realized reading that book that I should have asked for a raise every time they transferred me. I didn't negotiate my salary. I just said, yeah, actually, yeah, I'll take that money. But absolutely, going for higher paying jobs, I think increasing how much we want to make a year. And like you said, Terry, thinking about ways that the skills and the talents and gifts you have already, how to monetize those and then be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. I'm for that every day of the week.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. And we can
Lady,
do both. Women, we can
Yeah,
do all of it. We
of
can.
course.
You know, when we take care of ourselves, I know we believe in helping everyone. Women, we just that's what we do. We're nurturers, we're helpers.
Yeah.
Um, so I believe in God first or whatever your higher power is. But we always say God, family. No, I say God, me, family, business. Because if I'm not okay, those people I'm supposed to be helping, my daughter, how do I help her? I always tell my daughter, if I lose it and I go, I can't help you. I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really, as women, take care of ourselves first. And
Yeah.
that's not. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're conscious of who you are and the people who need you. And even if we're wives and all the roles we play, who takes care of us? Okay, we have to do that, and then God, us first, our family, and then business in that order, and we can really do it all.
Yes.
I love
I
that, Terry.
100% agree with that.
You are talking my language. I have so loved this conversation. And
Yes.
Amanda says, yes, you got to be the president of your own fan club. And then I love this
Yeah.
one. And do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And they don't even think about it, right? And
Right.
Terri, you may not know I'm the co-author of a book called Still Point, which is about self-care for caregivers
okay.
and time to breathe and reclaim joy and all the things, because as women, we often do put other people first and then we go down. And it's a
Yeah,
problem. We go down with our health. We go down with our finances. I can't tell you how many older women I've met that poured all their finances into their kids and other people and were left with nothing at the end. So
right.
so appreciated this conversation. I am
Yes.
paying attention to our time and I hate to say goodbye, but I think it is about that time. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Terri, we're going to have you back because we do talk about financial wellness on a regular basis because we know that it's something that is not as often talked about in our
Yeah,
circles. So we
right.
talk about it often on this show because we feel like you said earlier, we have to name it in order
Mhm.
to be able to work on it.
And I work with a lot of women advisors, and so we can actually have other women involved, so that you have a variety of people. So um,
I love that.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Terri. We are so grateful to have met you and had this
Yeah.
conversation. And we look
Oh,
forward
thank
to more.
you.
And we will put in the show notes, everybody. We will put how to reach Terri and how to get a free financial assessment. And so we're putting you back in the green room, Terri. I'm sorry there's not chocolate and wine in there. If it wasn't virtual, there
Oh, it's wine because it's raining, right?
right?
It's not tea today.
That was such a powerful conversation, my friend.
It's so good. This is why I like having it. You know how my mind has been on stuff like this. I love Robert Kiyosaki, and I listened to one of his books, Second Chance. That was actually the book that I forgot. I couldn't remember the name on our show. It was called Second Chance, and it talks about when people reach financial emergencies, basically, which is what Corona pushed a lot of people, including myself, into, and you have to do it differently. And on this other side of corporate, you have salary. No matter how high it is, your salary, right? I've been there already and I see what it's like. I see the hours. I saw the quality of life. I saw me missing my mom's doctor's appointments at the end of her life and time and all the baby showers, all this stuff I missed, right? Which of course was his choice. But now I said, I did this already. Let me do this. Let me be a business owner. Let me be, what did Terri call it? She called it that you are the creator of work, right? Let me create jobs and work for other people so that we can take care of our ladies instead of taking care of everybody else and putting the priority of myself below the priority of everything else.
Well, I am so grateful you have and that you've sponsored this podcast. I want you to tell our
Yes.
listeners about your company, Shalo Glow, because you are one of our sponsors. And while you do
Yes.
that, I'm grabbing my my Shalo Glow. So you can tell us about it and I can use
I love
it.
it. Yes. So again, Shalo Glow is a all natural and organic handmade shea butter company. We have sugar scrub, we have a multi-use oil, and a multi-use shea butter. But my favorite thing about it, and it is the last day of the month, is our Shea Road nomination. So if you ladies know somebody that has hugely impacted your life, hugely impacted your community, email my Shea Road to ShayloGlow at gmail.com and tell me why you're nominating her. Give me her information so that if she is honored with the self-care, with the free gift of self-care from Shaylo Glow, she will know why. And the nominations in tonight for this month. So let us know. Again, we talked about how often women take care of everybody else, which is usually what happens. And so this is about honoring ourselves, honoring our ladies, and taking better care of ourselves and being intentional about what we put on our skin because it's important too, right?
Mm, I love it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love
Thank you.
And my favorite, like I like the unscented, but I love the mango. And
Yes.
it is
Me
my
too.
favorite.
I'm about to come out with some new scents.
Everybody.
Yes. It's so
Well,
good. Yeah. And we're
I
doing research right now.
so enjoyed our conversation today. And
Yes.
I, as always, look forward to next week's conversation. Where
Of
can folks
course.
find us in the meantime? And what do you want them to do on social media?
Yes. So again, we talked about financial wellness, ladies. So on Facebook, on Instagram, use our hashtag wisdom in action. What are you going to do? I'm gonna hold you accountable like you know me, and the people that know me know that I run up on you. Okay, what are you actually going to do about the things that we talked about today? You're gonna set a budget. Are you? I'm having. I'll tell you what my wisdom in action is this week. We are
Let's hear
having a
it.
family meeting, and we're talking about wills, life insurance, and the second quarter. So as a business owner, I think about quarters, but as a family, I want us to know what we're doing. We're talking about reparations and stuff. So what is the plan outside of that? That's my wisdom in action. But what is your wisdom in action? Let us know on Instagram, Facebook, and if this helped you, share the live, share our show, so that everybody else can get plugged into a free assessment with Terri if that's what they need, so that we can start really being well. Yeah.
You brought up reparations.
Mm-hmm.
My wisdom in action for community, because I always talk
Yeah.
about self and community care. For
Yeah.
community is to reach out to my representatives about HR40. It has been a bill that has been introduced for years, and it is about a commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans Act. It's just to study it. It's not even like so I'm just amazed in our country that we
At the
won't even,
hesitation to it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to reach out. My community wisdom in action is to reach out in support of HR 40, to develop a commission to study it. And my wisdom in action personally is I'm working on taxes. I'm working on taxes. So I'm organizing. I'm being more intentional about putting systems in place so it becomes easier every year. And really kind of doing a spring cleaning of my finances this week.
I love that.
All right, my friend.
Yes.
I've so enjoyed this. I look forward to our conversations every week, and I am grateful for you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoy it too. And ladies, thank you so much for joining Women Connected in Wisdom. Shout out to Amanda for all the comments. Okay.
And Heather Lee too today. That was
yes,
awesome.
Yes. And be well, be wise, be whole. We will see you here next week, Wednesday at 5.